The East and the West wouldn't be able to join forces and would be working on different systems. And that's a situation in which you could end up having wars and more crises. And I'm afraid we're on that path now. And when you have wars and crises, you always see smart money fleeing towards gold. So central banks are starting to flee towards physical gold again because they know there are big changes coming within the monetary system. That also explains why gold is on the verge of a breakout in US dollars, but gold has been moving higher in all other currencies. Gold has been setting records in all other currencies, so that's a clear uptrend.
In 2023, gold soared to new all-time highs in almost every major currency, and the momentum has carried into the new year, with prices hovering near record levels despite recent pullbacks driven by central banks tempering rate cut expectations. Renowned figure Willem Middelkoop, founder of the Commodity Discovery Fund, notes that while the potential breakout in gold prices in US dollars is significant, the precious metal has already been trending higher in other currencies. Simultaneously, a key focus for BRICS nations in 2024 is their mission to abandon reliance on the US dollar fully. Steps toward creating a new currency aligned with this objective, but Middelkoop emphasizes that it will take time for the BRICS currency to surpass the US dollar in value. However, there are indications that BRICS countries, including Russia, are contemplating a shift towards a commodity-backed, potentially gold-backed, as part of a broader trend away from paper-backed fiat currencies. With a significant portion of global gold reserves held by entities like the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and individual countries like Germany, there's a growing recognition of gold's importance in the monetary system. Middelkoop highlights that even Western central banks have halted gold sales and started repatriating their gold reserves, signaling a shift in attitude towards the role of gold in the financial system. Moreover, BRICS member Russia has confirmed plans to develop an alternative to the SWIFT payment system that doesn't integrate the US dollar, settling cross-border transactions in local currencies. This move, alongside the broader shift towards disconnecting from the Western financial system, underscores the determination of BRICS nations to establish their financial framework. Join us as we explore the insights shared by Willem Middelkoop. Stay updated by subscribing to our channel and activating notifications. Thank you.
Many countries outside the West are fed up with the current dollar system. They're fed up with the fact that a country like Belgium has more voting rights in the IMF than Brazil. Yes. So the US, combined with Europe, created a system after the Second World War which is very beneficial for the Western countries. And now we have the rise of China and the rise of many other countries. And they want to have a larger seat at the table. And since the West isn't offering them a larger seat at the table, they're creating their own clubs, they're creating their own organizations. So instead of joining the IMF, they start to build on their new development bank, which is like a BRICS bank. Is providing finance for so many countries. And now we have 140 countries not joining the Western sanctions. So the world is changing. And these changes, that's a process which takes 10, 15, 20 years.
What does a BRICS currency look like?
It's probably gold or commodity backed. Russia has pointed to that. They're studying it now. But what you could say, and Zoltan Pozsar, who used to be an analyst with Credit Suisse, he explained it quite well in a few of his writings. What we see is a decline of a paper-backed system, a dollar system, a fiat system. And what we'll see is the BRICS working on a commodity-backed, gold-backed system. Yes. And that's the most important takeaway. Over 20 central banks adding to their gold reserves in the last 18 months. Yeah. We've seen record gold buying by central banks. You have to go back to 1969 to see this amount of physical buying by central banks. And why is that significant? In 1969, we experienced the implosion of the London gold pool. London gold pool was the Western central banks selling gold, keeping gold fixed at $35 per ounce. This all imploded in 68, 69, and that's why Nixon had to take the dollar off the gold standard in 71. And we're in a similar process now. So central banks are starting to flee towards physical gold again because they know there are big changes coming within the monetary system.
That's right. They've been big buyers of gold. Turkey, Eastern European countries last year, Hungary, China.
China, Russia. So there's a record amount of gold buying, even by Western central bank, or Western central banks stopped selling and they are repatriating gold. And this all shows gold is coming back within the monetary system. Gold is the anti-dollar since 1971.
Yeah.
Since Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard, gold is the anti-dollar. So the usual suspects on Wall Street are trying to keep gold down. They try to keep gold beneath $2,000 per ounce. We've seen some traders of JP Morgan being sent to prison because of manipulating the precious metals market. Yeah. And even the DOJ explained that the metal desk of JP Morgan was a criminal enterprise. So gold being the anti-dollar is an enemy for the US. However, you see that countries like China and Russia have been proposing to add gold to, let's say, the SDR, the IMF currency basket. They said, let's add gold as a sixth currency to the SDR currency baskets. So our fiat money system will become more stable again, but the US is not wanting to go that route. And that's why the BRICS have decided we'll disconnect from the West in a way, and we'll start building our own system.
For decades, the US dollar has stood as the epitome of strength in global markets and trade, bolstered by the United States' status as one of the world's most influential governments and economies. However, the greenback encountered turbulence in 2023, grappling with rising inflation, interest rates, and various challenges, prompting experts to question its enduring supremacy. While it remains a dominant currency, some analysts contend that it may have slipped from its position among the top 10 strongest currencies globally. Willem Middelkoop underscores the historical significance of transitions from gold-backed currencies to fiat currencies, warning of the inherent vulnerabilities of fiat monetary systems over time. As evidence of accelerating currency debasement, Middelkoop points to instances of superinflation, where inflation rates surpass 10%, observed not only in the US, but also across the globe. The case of Zimbabwe serves as a poignant example of the dire consequences of unchecked inflation. During the early 2000s, the country experienced hyperinflation, resulting in the Zimbabwean dollar losing a staggering 99.9% of its value. Prices skyrocketed, and citizens resorted to carrying bags of money for basic purchases. At the peak of the crisis, the Zimbabwean government issued a $100 trillion note, underscoring the severity of the economic turmoil. Eventually, foreign currencies became more widely accepted than the Zimbabwean dollar, highlighting the collapse of confidence in the domestic currency. Let's get back to the interview.
Well, we all know what happened in Venezuela.
Yeah.
We all know what happened in Iran and Zimbabwe. In this book, I have an appendix, and the appendix is a long list of all the currencies which failed in the end. There are over 250 examples of currencies which were unbacked by gold, and they all failed in the end. There's not one example of a currency which survived for over 100 years when it wasn't backed by something.
What do you mean by fail?
They ended into hyperinflation, or they choose to have another system in the end. There's not one example of a fiat currency which survived for over 100 years. Not one example. We used to be on the gold standard, and once we entered the era of fiat money, unbacked money, they all failed in the end. The purchasing power is down already 95% since the Fed started in 1913. So we're on our way to zero, to zero value. So that's why my thesis is that somewhere in the next decade, we'll need to reconnect the value of our currency to gold or silver or some other intrinsic value. Since the end of the Second World War, discussions on this topic have been ongoing in the IMF. The IMF was like the central bank of central banks, and also in Basel in the Bank for International Settlements. But now we see this de-globalization trend, so we're moving away from a situation where the IMF and the US is in control over the monetary system, and now we're in the situation that the BRICS countries have joined forces and getting stronger by the day. and working to introduce their own financial system in a few years. And that system could be competing with the Western dollar system. And because the BRICS countries are more or less in charge of all commodity trading, or a large part of commodity trading, when a country like Saudi Arabia will demand another currency to buy their oil instead of the US dollar, we could be in for a large shock. We ended a downtrend of inflation, which took us, which started around 1980 and was ongoing for over 40 years. Now we've broken out of the downtrend. Interest rates are going up. We've seen this superinflation with inflation over 10%. This clearly shows that the debasement of currencies is accelerating.
You're talking about the US?
Worldwide.
Worldwide. Okay.
Worldwide. Because inflation was a worldwide problem.
Yes.
So this shows that the purchasing power of money is decreasing. So in a way, we're in a fiat money crisis worldwide. And I think that's the reason why central bankers and the smart money are starting to buy gold again to hedge themselves.
Russian President Vladimir Putin elaborated that the imposition of U.S. sanctions on Russia had unintended consequences, particularly in bolstering the Chinese yuan and the ruble. He emphasized that these sanctions played a role in bringing together BRICS and other developing nations, fostering a collective recognition of shared challenges and adversaries. The president praised the unity displayed by the BRICS alliance, highlighting its role in advancing de-dollarization efforts globally. How do you envision the future trajectory of de-dollarization efforts and the role of alternative currencies in reshaping the international financial landscape? Share your thoughts in the comment section. If the video resonates with you, join our community by subscribing to our channel and enabling notifications with the bell icon. Thank you for being a part of our community.